Hey, what's up, guys? It's Brian here next to my brother Blaine. It's been a long break, but we are back in the bubble. We're not technically in the bubble, the NBA is in the bubble. So let's get started. This is the give and go. So, before the season started, we made some predictions for the Western and Eastern Conference on who would make the playoffs. We're going to revisit those predictions right now. What did you get wrong? What two teams did you say that would make it and didn't make it, and what happened?
The Kings didn't happen this year.
Didn't quite make it.
The one time that they did find a rhythm was right before the season stopped, so it was just bad timing all around for them. The Warriors were another team that I thought would get there, and I thought if they were to get injuries that it would be tough for them, and that's exactly what happened. I didn't think it'd be to that magnitude. Curry pretty much missing the whole year and Draymond missing a lot of games, so it was tough for them. They were probably a hard team to watch this year for a lot of common fans. A lot of guys you can't name. They really had a year of rebuilding, to say the least. So the two teams that took those two spots were the Mavericks, who have a guy who's pretty much an MVP candidate, and it's only his second year. I don't even know if he's 21. The other team was the Thunder. Played well all year, just solid, consistent. They really just took them by surprise.
So for my Western Conference predictions, I was also 6 out of 8. The two teams I missed were the Kings. They just couldn't stay healthy. They couldn't get all of their best players on the court at the same time, playing their best basketball, which is what you need at some stretch. You know, even if it's for a small part of the season, you need to have that, and it just never seemed like they were able to get that momentum going. The other team that I thought was going to make the playoffs was the Warriors. At that time, they still had Steph. Draymond was playing. Clay was out, but I thought with Steph and Draymond and their other pieces that they could at least get a low playoff
it'd be
seed.
enough.
And unfortunately, Steph got hurt, and their season was basically shot after that. So I missed those two. The teams that got in their place, one was the Thunder, which I'm completely shocked. I thought they were going to be, to be honest with you, a hot, stinking pile of garbage this year. I did not expect them to be very competitive. I didn't even know if Chris Paul was going to play for them, to be honest.
I think their team in general, you didn't really know what pieces would be there and wouldn't.
Hats off to them, and I actually think they're going to be really good in the playoffs. And then the other team that made it is a team I actually mentioned. It was the Mavericks. I thought that the Mavericks or the Blazers would get in. They both ended up getting in. Luka just raised his game to another level. Porzingis was a huge factor this year. They just had a really good team, and I think they're going to be solid in the playoffs as well.
Also, I think you picked 9 teams.
Yeah. So I picked 9 teams, and I got 7 of them right. I missed 2 of them. So
Ipso facto.
So facto, I was wrong-go. Let's get to the predictions for this year in the first round of the Western Conference.
So the 1 seed, the Lakers, will be playing the Blazers, who won the play-in game against the Grizzlies. And that's going to be a tough matchup for the Lakers. Damian is going to do his thing. I don't really think they're going to really find a way to stop him. But it's going to be super tough for the Blazers to stop AD. I don't think that's the greatest matchup for them, but I definitely see the Lakers winning the series.
For the Lakers and Blazers series, I see the Lakers winning that series. The Blazers are playing great right now. Dame has, exploded. And I think that there is more confidence in some of these guys in the bubble. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different depth of perception with their shooting. It's just different altogether from what the regular NBA season or the normal NBA playoffs would be right now. I definitely see Dame being more dangerous and potentially having more of a direct outcome on what happens. At the end of the day, the Lakers are I think the best team in the league right now. I think that the Lakers are going to win this series in 5 games.
The fact that Avery Bradley isn't playing, CJ McCollum and Lillard, I think there's just going to be a few games where they just both go off, and it's going to be really tough for the Lakers to contain them. No home court thing, I think, will play a little bit more of a part too, so maybe all these series are a little bit longer than they probably would have been in a regular playoff matchup. But I will say the Lakers in 6.
So the 2 seed in the West is going to be the Clippers, and the 7 seed is the Dallas Mavericks.
Luke is going to go off, but I think between Paul George and Kawhi, they're both going to be able to minimize his impact a little bit. But I definitely see the Clippers winning this series.
I see the Clippers winning this series, but I do think it's going to go full 7. I think the West in general is very competitive. So 2-7 is not a huge disparity like you see in the East. This series could very well go 7. I could see the Mavericks even winning it, but I think the Clippers, top to bottom, are deeper. They're more experienced. I think that they should win, but again, this style of play that's been in the bubble has been much different, and the Clippers are not playing together. They're not playing well. Even though the circumstances are different right now in the bubble, I believe that those things are important, and right now I think the Clippers need some time to get their stride going. So I see the Clippers winning it in 7, but it's going to be a close series.
Yeah, I would say the Clippers in 6 again.
Number 3 seed in the West is going to be the Denver Nuggets, and the number 6 seed is going to be the Utah Jazz. What do you think?
Caught me off guard. I see the Nuggets winning the series. The bubble really showed their depth. I mean, they're like almost 3 deep at every position. I just think the first round they won't have too much of an issue. Utah's missing their, I think, 2nd leading scorer in Bogdanovich. So they're a team that it's pretty hard for them to score in bunches at times. Mike Conley may miss a game or 2. He left the bubble, I think, for having a kid. So that just makes them a tad more depleted.
Right now you have Denver, who's playing great. I think you're right. Their depth has been showcased in the bubble. They're playing guys that didn't get minutes in the regular season, and now they're putting up big numbers in the bubble. I feel like this restart in general was kind of like this opportunity for all the teams to get their footing, get their chemistry together before the playoffs start. Certain teams capitalized on that, and the Nuggets are definitely one of those teams that look like they're playing well and like they have guys that can really contribute, and they're deep, they get along, they play well together. I see the Nuggets being potentially very dangerous in the playoffs. The Utah Jazz are a team that have a lot of great pieces. I like the way that the Jazz are put together. They have a big man who can play D. They have great guard play on the perimeter. They have a good knockdown shooter. I like their team. I can't really make an argument for why they're weak necessarily or why they're going to get knocked out. But I do believe that being in the bubble for a team like Utah hurts when it comes to home court advantage. Right now, the Nuggets are playing better as a team than the Jazz are playing. So I see the Nuggets winning this series in 6 games.
I'm going to say the Nuggets in 5 games.
And for the final matchup in the Western Conference playoffs, it's going to be the 4 seed Rockets playing against the 5 seed Oklahoma City Thunder.
It's going to be a very interesting matchup with Chris Paul going against the Rockets. I think their 3-point guard lineup could be fun to see against the Rockets small ball lineup. I think even with Westbrook missing a few games, I see the Rockets winning this series. I just think James Harden will be a little too much for them.
I would love to see the Thunder win this series. I think it would be the sweet poetry of sports to have Chris Paul come back and knock the team out of the playoffs that traded him away. A lot of people, including myself, wrote Chris Paul and the Thunder off immediately and said they had no chance. Didn't even think he would play for them. You know, he proved me wrong. He shut up all of the doubters. I'm rooting for the Thunder to beat the Rockets, but at the end of the day, I just think that the Rockets do have a little bit more firepower. I think Oklahoma City has a good defense, and that's going to stifle the Rockets, but I think that the Rockets' offense is better than OKC's defense, and I don't think OKC's offense is going to be able to keep up with Houston's offense. So I see the Rockets winning this series, but I see it being a good series. I see it going 6 or 7 games.
I do think the Rockets will win this series, and I say this series will go 7 games.
All right, so to recap for the Western Conference playoffs, we have the Lakers beating the Blazers, the Clippers beating the Mavericks, although I do think the Mavericks could beat the Clippers, Nuggets beating the Jazz, and we have the Rockets beating the Thunder. All right, guys, there you have it. Those are our predictions. Let us know what you think. Drop a comment. send us a message. We'd also like to give a special shout out to Edge Kuhn, who left a comment on one of our videos saying that we were trash for not picking the Spurs. Call us petty, but you were wrong.
Trash.
You trash. We'll be back to make our predictions for the Western and Eastern Conference Finals when we get there. In the bubble, we'll see you guys later.